You are about to witness a film unprecedented for the independent tri-state film community. Horrors of War is a brilliant movie that mixes the genres of horror and period World War II films. Shot literally all over Ohio, the stalwart souls behind this motion picture defied the limitations of budget and created a film that shows that with passion, any film is possible. You're about to meet true, passionate independent filmmakers, and they can only be seen right here on Viewfinder. Peter John Ross and John Whitney are the leaders of the ragtag bunch of filmmakers who took on the ridiculously ambitious independent film, Horrors of War. They join us today to explain how and why they took on this amazing cinematic mission. Welcome to Viewfinder, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's identify everybody. So I said your names in the opening, but I want people to know who you are. You're?
John Whitney.
Right?
Peter John Ross.
Now, this was like a Coen Brothers thing almost. I mean, you don't usually find two directors who are not related who can work on a motion picture together. So I understand this came about because originally you guys were going to do like 3 shorter films, and it just kind of transmutated into one long film, and both of you directed half of it, right?
Correct.
How did this whole thing start?
Well, it started off originally as just a 30-minute story of a World War II horror story as part of a horror anthology of 4 stories. But when that movie fell apart, I took my idea, I'd kept it, and decided to do 3 World War II horror stories, each one written and directed by a different person. But eventually that came to be that we just did 1 feature, but we still had 2 directors. So I directed the first half, John directed the second half.
Now that's pretty
He felt
unselfish.
guilty about dropping me, that's what it was. He didn't want to drop me, so.
So you directed the first half, and you directed the last half.
Correct.
Now, how did you keep the look cohesive? Because I mean, you're both 2 independent individual artists. How did you keep the look cohesive?
Well, we tried to, during pre-production meetings, we talked about the look and how the feel of the film and how we would try to melt our 2 styles together, and I think we did a pretty good job doing it. We knew that we didn't want to do anything crazy to really set ourselves apart because we wanted to have a cohesive look.
Did you feel you had to compromise either one of your visions to make something cohesive?
No, not at all.
I think that's your Midwest roots, because you...
No, a lot of it was, you know, we one of the tough things about it is you needed to share a vision, and I think we did. We talked about our influences, what we intended to do, and I think we had a pretty good meeting of the minds of, we had the same movie in mind to make.
Excellent. And did you have the same DP for both halves?
No, 2 different DPs.
2 different DPs?
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's a real challenge.
Yes.
Because you 2 different looks. So the DPs had to collaborate on filtration, lenses, and that kind of film stocks. Whoa. And DPs, they expose differently. So literally, I mean, did they have to get together and talk about f-stops? We'll have the DP on
In pre-production, the 4 of us sat down together quite a bit.
And pre-production is everything on an independent film, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I wish we'd had more of it.
Right. You always want to have more, but unless you have it, an independent film can go south real quick. Now, where are you guys from originally?
Originally, I'm from Dayton, and then I came to Columbus to go to Ohio State Film School.
Fantastic.
And stayed because I started working in production.
Now, see, people wouldn't think you could work in production in Ohio.
I know, they don't think that there's money out there to be made, but, you know, people make commercials, people make television shows. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made out there. But
Yeah, well, I do real well in Ohio since '92. I came here in '92 from Chicago.
Absolutely.
So, and you're from?
Originally born near Columbus, lived in Cincinnati for a long time. I was named after Pete Rose and Johnny Bench.
Get out of here.
Nope.
Excellent, excellent. Now, the thing that I loved about your film the most is that I bought it. I bought the premise. Because first somebody comes to you and says it's a war horror film, World War II horror film. And you're like, okay. And, I don't want to give too much away, but I could totally buy into the premise that, Hitler would want to create some kind of super soldiers and monsters, and these mutations are what they happen upon. That was brilliant.
That's based on kind of fact.
Right.
You know, you
That
take
guy
that.
was crazy.
He was nuts. Anybody with that little mustache is a little crazy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Making a fashion statement like that, he's got a little.
But how did that come up? Because I mean, you don't usually see those 2 genres mixing. So were you guys brainstorming one night and said, you know what would be cool?
That was me.
Yeah. That was
I just one night had this idea. I had this idea. It originally was going to be set in the Gulf War, but Not a lot of deserts in Ohio, so it's not easy to do on an independent budget. Then I thought about potentially Korea, trying to be forward thinking. Maybe we'll start a war there too. But then the woods don't really look like the jungle there.
Right.
And it was during a train trip through Europe that I realized Germany and France look an awful lot like Ohio. And that's what keyed it all off for me.
And you know what? That's genius, because we know, in the Cincinnati area particularly, there's a lot of German influence in architecture and everything because of the influx of the immigrants who came here. And so I thought that was brilliant. See, to me, that's so Robert Rodriguez. Use what you got. And another thing that was very Robert Rodriguez about you, Cash, that I really appreciated, on your DVD, you give film tips. I particularly like the cutting on the action tip, which I thought was really cool, and the whole L edit, when you split the edit and everything else. What made you want to do that?
I teach editing classes, on my own. I thought it was a really good thing. I've written a lot of articles on filmmaking, and it was, it definitely is about marketing as well. So, it'll bring people that otherwise wouldn't watch a World War II or horror film to the site, maybe find something to buy the DVD for.
Smart.
But at the same time, it's, important because you see a lot of the independent filmmakers all over Ohio. They need some work too, and these are some just real basic tips of how to get some of that information across to people.
Kind of that pay forward mentality, I think, that helps out in the independent world, because there's a certain type of person who loves the independent film.
Yes.
They're so ravenous about the subject.
Yes.
That they're just going to eat this stuff up. So this is a brilliant stroke. As Ross says, I did do all that stuff, and it's a very good idea. It's working for us.
Could you be happy having your career go well in Ohio? Do you feel like you have to move to New York or LA to make movies? But if this film really garnered somebody to say, I want to invest in you guys and you can keep shooting in Ohio, would you do it?
I have friends that have come and gone to LA and back. They went there and they worked in the business. They got chewed up and spit back out. They came back, and I'm still here. And I made more movies than they did as they were PAing in some Spielberg film or whatever. And it's very sad the way that town can eat you up.
Right.
There's no reason why you can't make movies in Ohio. We've proved that.
Yes.
Everybody, there are people that have cameras. There's talented people that can be crews. It can be on the crew, and there's no reason to go out there.
Well, I know for a fact Cincinnati I've worked in LA and New York, and I'll put a Cincinnati crew up against an LA or a New York crew any day. And their attitude. And I've shot in the Midwest too, in Minneapolis and such, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Well, speaking about making movies in Ohio, set up this first clip so we can see what you made in Ohio. What's the first clip?
This first clip is a scene from the movie. I believe it's from the half I directed. This is a setup for the scene is, GI soldiers are they're in an occupied territory, and they just witnessed some pretty grim stuff, and then something supernatural is kind of following up some of the mistakes they've made.
Shot right here in Ohio. By these two brilliant directors.
This is shot in Mechanicsburg, Ohio.
Fantastic. Let's check it out.
All right.
What happened to your head?
Captain Mitchell and I got into a disagreement. You see anything?
Nothing. Sort of eerie. There's no light for miles.
Things just keep getting better.
What was that?
Oh.
I got next watch. Your turn for some fun. What's the matter? Don't you like girls?
Philip Garrett is a co-writer and producer on Horrors of War, and Greg Sabo is the director of photography. They join us now on Viewfinder. Welcome to Viewfinder, guys.
Thanks.
Brilliant work. You heard me gush over your directors. Now I get to gush over you cats, too. Greg, I want to start with you, as DPing. Now, which half of the film did you DP?
John Whitney's half.
So is that
Second half.
that's the second half?
Yes, sir.
Now, we hit on that briefly, the challenge of having to pick up another DP's work and carry it on. I don't know if you probably saw Visions of Light, right? The documentary on
Yes.
the history of direct photographies. And I forget who it was. I think it was Alejandros who had to leave a movie and somebody else had to come on, and one DP liked filtration and the other one didn't. And did you have that same kind of challenge?
Well, not necessarily. I decided just to go with what I felt would be good. I didn't really get to see dailies of the first half of the film. It was just a style that I always wanted to go for, and if it was too far off, one of the directors would say something.
So it was the director's job to kind of rein you in and say no, that kind of thing. Did you ever encounter anything on the set where you wanted to use a certain kind of lens or something, and the director says, no, that's too much off character from what we've done?
No, it didn't happen. I mean, we would just kind of envision a scene, and I'd pick a lens, show it to the director. If he liked it, he said, great, go with it.
And you shot this on film, right?
On film.
3 different formats, right?
Yeah, there was 8mm and 16.
And then Super 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much the whole film shot Super 16.
But you shot some on 16.
There is a scene that was used originally as a concept scene.
Okay.
And that sort of takes place in a different time and place and has a completely different look. And there is 35 in there, Super 16 and 8mm.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Why film? I never thought I'd ask this question. Why film instead of video? Remember the old days was like, why'd you shoot it in video when you could use film? But why film instead of video? It's a much more expensive medium. Why did you make the decision that we're going to shoot this on film?
Well, the decision started with the directors, and in collaborating with them, what was decided was that a film like this set in World War II, we've seen the whole bleach bypass look that you see in Private Ryan and Band of Brothers and everything that's been copying that. And we didn't want to do that.
Right.
We
they
wanted
used the real good in Three Kings. I mean, they bleached the hell out of that movie.
Yeah. But we wanted to do it on film because it was a period piece. We wanted to have that magical quality that film gets for you.
Right.
And then that combined with, as far as marketability and sales, film still has a...
it's cachet.
Yeah,
so when you did your foreign sales, it helped. Because you've already pre-sold the film.
Right.
For distribution in some foreign markets, right?
Right, correct.
Go Ohio. Go Ohio. Now, let me ask you this, man. You produced a lot of the visual effects.
Yes.
I was very impressed with the visual effects. Like, for instance, the planes going by. There's one scene out in the field where the guys are walking through and they see a plane go over them. I think it was on fire. It was going down or something like that.
Correct.
And that was CGI.
That was CGI, and that scene was actually done a year and a half. That was a year and a half or so ago. That was before I came on board. But there is a scene in the film we call Scene 6, which has 2 airplanes that come under attack, and there are flak and everything going off, as well as we cut to the inside of the airplane and to explain this mission that the guys are going on. And the engine explodes, the whole thing happens, they parachute out. All of that, and was done by an excellent visual effects artist named Don Drennan out of Columbus.
He is good. How much render time did that take? I don't even want to think about it.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
That's what people have to understand about CGI. Some people complain about it. Oh, it looks like a video game. Man, you don't have any idea how long it takes to make CGI work. It's tough.
Sure.
And to get the shading right and everything else.
Sure. And the director, Ross, and I worked with Don very closely to make sure that we were getting as close to photorealism as we could get, and he's got depth of field in there that helps that. And everything, he did everything that you see in there was done by him: lighting, shading, modeling, everything.
Well, it beat the heck out of the last Matrix movie. I'm serious, man. That whole Neo with the pole and running around, I'm like, that's supposed to be real, but so you beat that. You didn't have no money.
That's pretty high praise. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Now, are you both Ohioans as well?
Yes.
And you're from originally?
Springfield, went to Ohio University and moved away to California for a number of years.
And you worked for Big Dog,
I worked at DreamWorks, yeah.
DreamWorks.
Yep.
How do you go from Ohio to working for Steven Spielberg's company?
I spent a number of years out there in another field, internet, software, and kind of got burned out and always wanted to work in the movies and took a break, had been going to school and just had an opportunity to, the opportunity came up to be a PA. So I went from being a director at a technology company to delivering mail, the classic mailroom job. And over the span of time I was there, I ended up becoming a production supervisor on Shrek 2 in Madagascar and an associate PM on all the Shrek 2 commercials and tie-ins and DVD and all of that good stuff.
Dreams do come true. But
Yeah.
you left that to come home.
Right.
Why did you come home?
I have a
You
child.
achieved the American dream to some people. You got to LA, you're working for Spielberg, and you say, you know what, I'm going back to Ohio.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we have a child, and we felt it was time to come home where our family is. And in coming back to Ohio, I didn't want to give that career up, so I did a lot of research, found these guys making this movie called Horrors of War, which looked like the only serious film endeavor I could find, and kind of came on board to help out and ended up doing a lot more than just that.
Well, I applaud you for having your priorities straight.
Well, thank you.
You know, I really do. You're an Ohioan as well?
I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and then
okay.
came to Ohio at a real young age.
What, 4, 5, 6?
Probably 3.
3, yeah. You don't even remember.
No.
You don't remember no Baltimore, Maryland. What is this, a crab cake? You don't know anything about that.
No.
Now, why do you choose to stay? I mean, because you're talented. I mean, you look at your work, you're obviously talented.
I think I've got a lot of roots. I mean, I like the people. I like the Midwest. There's a lot of talent here. I mean, I've been to LA, Seattle, worked in some in New York, and there's good people there as well. But the camaraderie that you have here, the willingness of people to work hard, just the nature of it, it's very positive.
Yes.
And the independent film, it's growing so much here. I mean, and it feels really good. So I want to be a part of it. I want to help it grow.
I think there's a passion here because when I've shot in LA, those guys are so, we did this last week. And, here it's like, we're making a movie, man. We're making a movie. Can you believe we're making a movie? So I think that they're not as jaded. So I think that's fantastic. All right, now, you guys get to introduce a clip. See, we equal opportunity right here. Everybody introduces a clip. What's the clip you guys are going to introduce?
Well, the clip we're going to introduce is sort of an approach on a German weapons facility that appears to be empty, but maybe it isn't. And it's approaching the last act of the film, and Greg shot it.
This is where they're going to find the
monster, the creature.
The doctor
who created the creature.
He's somewhere in this facility.
The source of the weapons.
All right, let's check it out.
I need you to take a position where you can take those true Germans out with the machine gun.
Yes, sir.
See clear and shoot straight.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't look good. There's gotta be crowds everywhere. There's those 2 walking the perimeter. There's gotta be more around the back. I know. Listen, when Underwood takes out those 2 Germans, we're gonna move in fast. All right? Gentlemen, stay sharp.
Come on, show me something. Thank you.
Move out.
Ruber, grenade that window. You got it. Covering fire. No, cover.
Now that's entertainment. You can have the best directors, the most beautiful pictures, etc. But if the acting stinks, you got nothing. These three performers ensured that Horrors of War would be well executed on the performance front. Join me in welcoming Daniel Allen Keeley, Jason Morris, and the ubiquitous Joe Lorenzo, the viewfinder. Welcome, cats. So glad to have you here. Let's do a roll call. Who's who?
I'm Daniel Allen Kiley. Jason Morris.
Joe Lorenzo.
Excuse me for butchering your name, man. I'm sorry. Yeah.
You can call me Keeley.
Cool. Now, you know what? It looked like you guys had a blast making this film. Did it feel like playing Army soldiers in the backyard when you were kids at some point?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's all your little kid dreams come to life, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it really is.
Now,
When they gave us the guns, I think.
now, did you have any military training? Because you guys looked like you knew what you were doing with the guns. You didn't look like you were clumsy or a gun or what have you.
We had the benefit of some reenactors who kind of got with us, and they took us on basically like a 8-hour course, and we kind of learned the weapons. But not too much training, but just enough that we could build on that with our own research.
Yeah. You see, that was brilliant, I thought, using the reenactors.
Yeah.
Because we know about the Civil War reenactors, but maybe not a lot of people know about the World War II reenactors. So there are guys who say, we're the Nazis, and the other guys that say, we're the Allied forces or what have you, right?
Yeah. It was a good time. It was really cool having them on set because it kept that authentic feel to it. And if we ever had any type of questions, we could go to them. I know I myself, when I went to go sniper, I wanted to know, when they're using the normal guns, they keep both their eyes open. That way they're constantly scouting, but as a sniper, it's only one eye. And it's something like that, small, that's good. You can go to somebody that's done it for a while. You can confirm with them. So it was neat. It was really cool.
Fantastic. Now, I want to talk acting. Because it's rare we get good actors on here, all right? The challenge for any director is to deal with the actor where they are, because every actor has every way of doing things. Some actors are very much method. Some actors say, no, I'm into Grotowski. That's what I'm into. Some actors are like, the heck with it. I'll just go for it. Do you feel like you have 3 different styles? I don't know if you guys even talked about this, what schools you come from or that kind of thing. Not school where you went and studied, but where you think about acting. How do you And did the directors have to deal with you in 3 different ways, or was it pretty much, okay, you're under fire, action?
Yeah, it was a lot of group stuff, group stuff. You see, as you see going through the movie, there's very rarely are there 2 actors in a scene. There's always a group because most of it is a group of guys, it's a group of guys on a mission. Yeah, so it was a lot of group directing that way, yeah.
And our group was with John Whitney, and John did a great job, beforehand when we went to go shoot. We had the rehearsals, we went over any type of problems that we had, and, if there's any issues, he would come to us personally and, tell us to take it up a notch or take it down, and it was just a very professional but still loose environment. It was a lot of fun.
I think we had a really limited rehearsal process, but what we did have, we were together in groups and we were doing just blocking, but a lot of it was less about the technical aspects of the film or the scene, and it was more about mining the potential for the subtext of the script and the kind of things that were going on between us, because there's a lot of friction between a lot of the soldiers because they're kind of mishmashed together and on a dangerous mission. But so it was rewarding, to see that, because Joe's a lot different than me, and John and Jason. And John's not here, but so there's a lot of different styles. But it was just so easy because the directors were so generous to us.
Now let's do this, because a lot of independent filmmakers are watching, and sometimes independent filmmakers really get caught up in the mechanics of it, the cameras and everything else, and sometimes the acting can go wanting. We've all seen independent films that were just dogs because the acting just stunk. And like I said, I don't care how great the film looks, if the acting stinks, you got no movie. What do you 3 guys individually look for from a director?
Oh man, wow. I myself, motivation, just a very positive environment, staying positive. It was real easy working with John, and especially since these guys, we were hanging out in our outfits all day, and you start to become a family, and you start cracking jokes like you're, really in a platoon.
So the on-set environment is very important for you.
Very, very important.
So that you feel protected and that you can experiment.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'd say a personal relationship, just an honesty, no BS. Yeah. Yeah, get to the point. And in other independent films, organization.
Right.
Yeah. Having their S wrapped tight outside of what we do.
Right.
Allows you not to worry about other things and get down to what your job is when you're not worried. So many things. How many unorganized crews that I've come to work with. These guys were wrapped pretty tight, so things
So you don't have to worry about,
you don't have
man,
to worry
I
about-
really have signed my life away on a dog here
No,
because
and
everything's tight.
What am I doing here? Blah, blah,
Right.
blah. No, you're there. You can focus on what you need to do.
And it shows up in the performance if you're really distracted.
Yeah. If you're having to worry about other things than
Right.
what you're supposed to be worrying
Right,
about,
right.
yeah, you can't get to where you need to get to.
Right. And when you say just get to the point, you mean you want the director to come to you, take it down a notch, blah, 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 maybe try this and then get out.
That's it, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
need long, convoluted.
No, what do you need from me? Okay, that's what
Okay.
you need. Let's do it. All right,
Okay.
that's what I'll do.
All right.
If I didn't do it right, help me fix it. You know.
Right.
Yeah,
And help you fix it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What do you look for?
I really just want, I think all actors kind of feel the same. You want the director to kind of let you know that they're involved with your personal, story. Because every actor, whether they're, a guy that walks in the background, in your mind you build yourself a backstory, and you want to know that you're important to the film. And it's really nice to have directors, and Ross and John were great with this, who were able to, with all the craziness that was going on, to take a step back, come out away from the camera, and come up and just talk to you personally and say, this is what your scene's about, and I like what you're doing here, and and keep it going. So it's making a safe environment, I think, is the most important thing.
Okay, now real quick, what do you look for from other actors when you're on
Oh
the set?
man, a good time. Just having fun. I mean, I know Dan came to me with something that was really cool, and it motivated me a lot. My character in the movie is very young, and he came to me with these letters that he had found that were writing home. And it was a letter from a kid, and it started off, "Dear Mommy." And being able to read a letter, and not something from a book, an actual letter wrote from a kid to his mom. I mean, we feed off of each other, and that's what we're trying to help each other just to make the best project as possible.
You and your comrades have done something fantastic, very special. You've shown us the way. You've shown us what's possible. And I want to thank you and the DP and all the producers and everybody else who worked on this project. It was just great. You bless us. You really do. Thank you so much. Hollywood is not just a place. It's a state of mind. Hollywood is within you. The more you look for resources outside of yourself, the farther away they become. Here's hoping that you soon will be looking at your epic through your own viewfinder. Cut.